Hey everyone and welcome. Today, we're going to unpack a deeply emotional, just totally visually structured journey that really redefines what it actually means to remember. In this explainer, we're essentially going to be turning the pages of a very special memory notebook, one belonging to a young woman named Amber. Now, Amber's story isn't just about the clinical science of short-term memory loss. It's actually this profound look at how we build our identities when the very thoughts in our minds are just constantly slipping away. I am so excited to guide you through this, so let's get right into it. Right off the bat, before we go any further, I want you to hold on to this realization from Amber. She said, "Forgetting things is hard, but being forgotten by the people who should love you is harder." Wow. That instantly sets this deeply personal, frankly heartbreaking tone for her whole experience. Because, Amber's struggle wasn't just about losing her keys or forgetting someone's name. It was a desperate, lifelong chase for approval and love, basically searching for a way to anchor herself in a world that just wouldn't stop spinning.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, a goldfish memory.
So Amber's early childhood was defined by what she playfully called her goldfish memory. She was this incredibly cute kid, bright blue eyes, loved the attention, but her brain simply couldn't retain short-term information. She'd watch a cartoon and literally seconds later ask to watch it again, completely unaware it had just ended. And this wasn't just a quirky phase either. It became a huge barrier between her and her mother's acceptance. To understand the absolute chaos of her early years, just look at this timeline. At age 4, her older brother Justin cruelly tricked her by tying her pacifier string around her neck. 10 seconds later, she was crying, searching for it, completely forgetting it was dangling right on her back. By age 6, she gets a formal learning disability diagnosis. And the school system? Oh, it utterly failed her. By grade 5, she was dealing with Mrs. Johansson, a teacher Amber secretly dubbed the Bulldozer. When the Bulldozer found out about that nickname, she humiliated Amber during an exam. She leaned in and rapidly whispered all the correct answers, just mocking Amber's inability to remember a single one of them. It was just a relentless, fast-paced nightmare of being completely misunderstood.
And as you can see here, this created a really stark emotional contrast in Amber's upbringing. On one side, you have her dad, a brilliant, wealthy programmer who wore simple clothes, loved her unconditionally, and just didn't care about status at all. But on the other side, her mom, someone who was completely obsessed with appearances. Her mother literally viewed Amber's condition as shameful and refused to put her in special needs classes just because of how it would look to other people. Feeling that constant, heavy disappointment in her mother's eyes eventually took its toll, and it drove Amber to just give up. She simply stopped trying.
That is, until things shifted in Part 2, Miss Smart and the Notebook.
The whole trajectory of Amber's life completely shifted thanks to the arrival of a new, young English teacher. This was Miss Smart, and she approached Amber in a completely different way. Right in her very first class, she played a memory game. Amber's assigned animal was the dinosaur. Now, even though Amber forgot her animal every single time it was her turn, Miss Smart didn't kick her out or humiliate her like past teachers. Instead, she quietly bypassed Amber's name until Amber was the last one standing, letting her win. She chose kindness over rigid rules. Miss Smart started using matching cards to actually help Amber's memory. She welcomed Amber into her warm home and totally refused any money from Amber's dad for the extra help. And when Amber ran away from home once and the police accused her of lying, Miss Smart rushed out in the middle of the night to fiercely defend her. For the very first time in her life, Amber felt truly seen and capable.
Which brings us to the most crucial tool in her survival, the notebook. Miss Smart handed Amber this large, physical journal. She told Amber she needed to write down absolutely everything important, big or small, so that those memories would never be lost. You have to understand, this wasn't just paper and ink. This was her anchor to reality. And it was given to her right before Miss Smart had to abruptly move away to another city, forced out by the destructive behavior of her boyfriend's violent son. Note number 12. Miss SM left today, and Mom's going to make my life even harder. June 25th, 2017. Amber wrote that entry the very night Miss Smart left. She realized that if she didn't write things down, they disappeared. So she wrote so she wouldn't disappear too. This notebook became her entire survival mechanism as she navigated the incredibly difficult, lonely landscape of high school.
Moving on to Part 3, Cliff's heartbreaking betrayal.
By the time she hit high school, Amber had experienced a major physical glow-up and was getting a lot of attention, even though she was secretly skipping her resource room classes out of pure shame. More than anything, she desperately wanted to find genuine love, someone who would see past her condition. Well, she met a senior named Cliff. After this clumsy but really cute introduction, where she literally fell at his feet, he wrote his number in her notebook.
Amber believed Cliff genuinely liked her. He asked these deep questions about her life and her condition. But, and this brilliantly illustrates the dark side of her high school experience, the devastating reality was completely different. While they were sitting together under a tree, she discovered he was hiding an audio recorder under his notebook. He was secretly recording her, treating her like a lab rat to study her short-term memory loss for a psychology research project.
The climax of this betrayal was explosive. Amber grabbed his recorder, smashed it right into the ground, and poured her water bottle all over his detailed notes. She slapped him across the face. She didn't just lose a crush that day, she lost her faith in people. Note number 1280, Cliff is a jerk. This event temporarily shattered her trust entirely, making her feel like nothing more than a broken research subject.
All right, let's shift gears to something a bit lighter. Part 4, a hilarious encounter at the SAT.
You know, life has a really funny way of turning things around. After practically begging her mother, Amber transferred to a wild, vibrant special education high school. It was chaotic, it was loud, and for the first time in her life, Amber's notebook wasn't weird at all. She met her fiercely loyal friend Samantha, a girl who carried a tiny chair everywhere just for her teddy bear, and Amber finally started to find her footing. But to really understand her daily struggle, look at this number on the screen, 135. That is the number of driving lessons Amber had to take just to get her license. Her sister took 12, her brother took 10. Amber took 135 lessons and failed 13 times before getting it. It perfectly highlights how much harder she had to work for the things most people just take for granted. And ironically, she finally passed her driving test on the exact same day she had to take her SATs.
So she rushed into the oral English portion of her SAT, completely frazzled and exhausted. Her examiner happened to be a young, cute guy named Rye. And instead of the stiff, formal exam environment, they instantly fell into this rapid-fire, hilarious banter. He immediately threw her off balance by asking, "What's your favorite color?" when he noticed she was totally flustered.
Then he asked what was on her lip. Her brain completely misfired, and she just blurted out, "I ate something sweet, I think. Maybe an almond croissant." It was this rapid, confused internal monologue just spilling out loud. She couldn't even check her notebook because it was an exam. But here is the absolute most beautiful part of this. Her messy, memory-lapse panic, it didn't push him away. It charmed him. Her condition actually created a genuine, hilarious human connection instead of a barrier.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredible aftermath of that encounter. It happened later at a pizza place. They ran into each other totally by chance. Rye was working as a waiter there because, well, he actually got fired from testing. Yeah, he had allowed way too much of a gap between her oral and math exams just to talk to her and help her calm down. His kindness literally cost him his job. But sitting at that pizza place, bonding over their shared favorite color, green, it won Amber's heart. They started dating right then and there.
Which leads us to our final chapter, Part 5, Stella and the Happy Ending.
So Rye joined the Navy to build a really stable future for them. Amber pushed herself to work as a cashier, wanting to test her memory out in the real world. Soon after, they discovered she was pregnant, which brought them their beautiful baby girl, Stella. But, as you might imagine, motherhood with short-term memory loss is terrifying. One night, while Rye was deployed and her mom was away, baby Stella spiked a super high fever. Amber panicked, rushed to the hospital, and in all the chaos, she forgot her notebook. Suddenly, the nurses were firing questions at her like rapid bullets. When did you breastfeed her? When did she poop? When did she puke? Do you understand what we are saying? The immense tension, the absolute panic, the feeling of utter inadequacy. Amber was suddenly that little girl again, feeling completely broken. Overwhelmed, she ran outside, just tears streaming down her face.
And then a voice called her name, Amber. It was Miss Smart. She miraculously reappeared right there at the hospital entrance. Older, more tired, but she was there. Amber collapsed into her arms, sobbing that she was completely useless. But Miss Smart stopped her right there. She validated Amber's incredibly kind heart, reminding her that pure goodness doesn't just vanish with memory loss. And just like she did all those years ago, Miss Smart calmly stepped in, explained the situation to the hospital staff, and completely calmed the storm. The relief for Amber was just absolute. And Amber didn't just go back to her old, fearful life after this. She took control. Let's move to Smarta and see how this builds. Step 1, she moved her family to Rye's naval base to get a supportive community. Step 2, Rye actually helped get Miss Smart a job right there on the base. And Step 3, they all lived near each other in a beautiful house right near the beach. Amber finally achieved the peaceful beach house dream that she and Miss Smart had talked about all those years ago.
And that brings us to this absolutely beautiful notebook entry. Note number 130,891. Stella said she loved me. April 16, 2025. You see, despite all the forgotten names, the missed appointments, the lost pacifiers, the feeling of being truly seen and loved, that feeling always stayed with Amber. It survived way beyond the confines of her short-term memory.
So, as we close Amber's notebook today in this explainer, it leaves us with a pretty powerful question. If you had to write down the one memory that makes you feel most loved, what would be your note number 1? Think about the emotional weight and the true beauty of your own memories today. Thank you so much for exploring this incredible story with me. Catch you next time.